guys, it's Alec Torelli. Welcome back to the Hand of the Day. Today's question comes from Nicola, who says, do you think it's better to put in time learning poker even if you're not having good results? I mean, I'm losing for 5 months straight. Or do you think it's better to learn some other skills that could also provide good money in the future? I like all your videos. Keep it up. Thanks a lot. Okay, Nicola, and everybody in a similar predicament. I'm not going to give you a straightforward answer, and I know that's a little frustrating, but the reason is because this is really, really personal. And my answer is that it depends on your intention. And this is something that discussed in serious depth in 4-Step Poker, the course I'm going to be putting out soon. The first step, which I think is the most important, is really about planning, the planning stages. It's like building a solid foundation for everything you need to do before you even play a hand of poker. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. So this is a good kind of preview for some of the more material that's going to be happening in that course. So you need to get in touch with why you're even playing poker in the first place. One of my favorite speakers, Simon Sinek, has a great talk called Start With Why, and it really dials in on intention and how to use intention and purpose to put back into whatever work it is you're trying to do. So my response to you would be, it really depends on your intention. So what is your goal in playing poker? You know, and not everything you do has to be measured in winning or losing. And it really depends on what level of competency that you're ultimately content with. You know, to take a trivial example, you wouldn't renounce another hobby, you know, such as like painting or tennis, simply because you're not world class or simply because you're not a professional. And for many people, for most people in the world, poker is no different. They enjoy playing despite a lot of people being losing players or only winning some of the time. And that's totally fine and that's healthy. You need to have hobbies that you don't hold yourself to an extremely high standard for. Otherwise, you really can't get any enjoyment out of them. When you're always holding yourself to an unattainable standard, it's pretty frustrating. It's really not that exciting. So if you are content to make poker a hobby, and again, you're going to have to do some interpersonal work with this, working through some of those questions I talked about in the beginning, your goal, your intention, what is your purpose for playing, what really brings you the most enjoyment out of poker. Working through those is going to help you determine what level you're ultimately content with in terms of competency. So if it's going to be a hobby, I would say no, you shouldn't stop playing. You should play occasionally, maybe limit your amount of money you play poker with, obviously be responsible, and or just play with friends and have fun. Now, I know a lot of you, Nicola, included in this as well, because you mentioned, you know, doing this specifically to make money. That's a different story, because now you're talking about going down a professional path, a path of extreme competency, and so that's another story. So to do that, and this is a lot what goes on in 4-Step, we really need to set a timeline for this endeavor, right? Because you're not extremely fluent in the language of poker, and so you're experimenting right now. You're seeing if this is something that could work for you. And I'm definitely understanding and sympathetic to going through losing stretches. And so we need to allow ourselves enough time to overcome the possibility that luck is the determining factor or the hinderer of our success. We need to give ourselves enough time to pursue this so that we are sure that the results we attain are true and accurate results. So how do we do that? We give ourselves enough time. So we need to set a date, and I think, you know, 6 months for a specific date. You're probably looking for something specific here. So I would say 6 months is a good timeline, but I don't want that to discourage you, because maybe for the last 5 months you didn't do all the steps that we're going to discuss here today to determine if that 6 months was enough. Because 6 months is enough, but it's enough if you're doing the right things, right? So that's what we got to focus on. So here's what you got to do. The first thing is you need to plan ahead to give yourself the best possible chance of success. That means allocating a specific budget to how much you're going to allocate to poker, okay? So what is your bankroll going to be? Because from there, we can have the foundation to which we can decide what limits we're going to play, what games we can play, how much we can afford to risk in every session. It reduces a ton of stress, and it lets us enjoy that sort of process. It's really liberating, okay? We need to also get real with our expenses. What's this going to cost us? How much is my overhead? How much is my monthly costs? Those things need to come out of your bankroll and be planned ahead financially so that you know you could commit to this, okay? The purpose here is to really give 100% to this endeavor. Because 6 months is enough if you are a poker player. Okay? It's not enough if you are an architect, a student, and you got a lot of other stuff going on. You got projects, you're managing a group, you're the counselor at your church and all this other stuff. You got tons of things going on that divert your attention, and suddenly 6 months, it's like, how much time are you really spending playing poker, okay? Your goal here is to be a professional, so you're going to have to fully commit. That means lifestyle, how hard you work, the time you put in, your social circle, your friends. Treat yourself like the professional you want to be. Embody that person now, and you will become them. Okay, so fake it till you make it. And that needs to be the life you live for 6 months. So you're making sacrifices on Friday, Saturday night. You're not going out and partying and drinking because the next day you got to be up and you got to be mentally fresh to play your best game. Okay, so these are the types of decisions, and this is the type of approach and level of severity that you need to make that 6 months worth it. Because I'm not about wasting time. I don't want to waste your time. I know your time is valuable. So you want to get the most out of it. And I think putting your head down, banging it out for 6 months, being able to say, I gave it 100%, I have no regrets. Because you don't really want to revisit this later. You don't want to always wonder what if. You don't want to be like, oh, I tried poker, but I half-assed it, and I think I could have made it. Because that's going to be a crappy feeling. Right? And you might not be able to revisit it later because of your circumstances externally, right? You might have to make some compromises now in order to dedicate yourself fully to poker. That might be, getting real with taking time off of work, working less, adjusting your hours. You might have a relationship or family around you that needs to understand and accept this decision. And it's not really something that you're going to do 2 or 3 times because it's just such a big commitment and it requires so much support from your external circumstances around you that you just can't afford to screw it up, okay? So you need to be prepared to give 100% and use that 6 months, setting that end date, liberating yourself to enjoy the entire journey, getting real with your finances so you could commit fully to this process. And then, at the end of that 6 months, if you did all that, okay, and you're coming back to me 6 months later, you say, Alec, is it time to move on? Yeah. Then it's time to move on, because you will know. You wouldn't be coming to me with this question if you did everything that I just said to the level of which a professional does it, because you would have your answer. Just like you would in anything else, right? If you want to say, Alec, I want to run a marathon in July of next year, I'm going to start training today. I'm going to start running 10 miles a day. Think I could do it? I don't know, but I know if you ran 10 miles a day, you would know if you could do it in 6 months, okay? So that's the level that you got to take. I'm done. I just acted. Nicola, it's on you. Peace.